Hello, folks. Scott Galbraith here, also known as the Great Scott, and welcome once again to the Great Scott's Roundtable. About a month ago, I did what I called my very first accidental roundtable. My goal was to get together some people who had worked behind the scenes in the faith-based film community, and then I discovered that I had gotten together three guys, all of who happened to be editors. So I called that video an Editor's Roundtable by accident. And we had so much fun that it suddenly occurred to me, if we had that much fun with an accidental roundtable, how much fun could we have if we did one on purpose? So I called all the guys back and said, hey, let's get back together and have another Editor's Roundtable. Unfortunately, Shane McMullen, who was one of our panelists on the first one, was not available for tonight's roundtable. However, he provided us with a very fine replacement, which we thank you for, Shane. And I'll introduce you to him in just a moment. But first, let me reintroduce you to the other two gentlemen who were here last time, who were nice enough to come back. First of all, an accomplished author, a very prolific screenwriter in the world of Christian film, and also an editor, Mr. Sean Paul Murphy. How are you, Sean?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that is your new book you just held up there. Is that correct?
This is my new book, Chapel Street. I recommend it to everyone. Getting a lot of great reviews. Will there be a movie version? Can't say today.
Yeah, well, the good news is if there's a movie version, you can write the script because you already have
The script has already been written.
There you go. There you go. I should know. Next up, we have a guy who's a very sought-after editor in the Christian film world with more than 27 editing credits to his name. Chances are, if you watch CBS, you've seen a promo edited by this guy. And as of today, this guy holds the third place spot for my most frequent guest. Please say hello to Jeffrey Lee Hollis. How are you, sir?
My finest accomplishment.
Yeah. No, your finest accomplishment is playing big guy on the phone and unidentified.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And lastly, we have a gentleman who I just realized I'm so embarrassed now. I forgot to ask the correct pronunciation of his last name. So if I butcher this, I apologize in advance.
You could ask him now.
Yes. How do you pronounce your last name, sir?
Ebel.
Ebel.
Yeah.
This is a gentleman who has worked as an editor on Fireproof, Courageous, and Overcomer, just to name a few. I told you Shane gave us a good one here. Please say hello to Bill Ebel. Did I say that right?
Ebel, but
Bill
close
Ebel.
enough.
Bill Ebel. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is actually kind of unusual because very rarely have my guests on my roundtable been people I just met before we went on. Because we literally all just met you right now. Shane
Right.
McMullen highly recommended you. He said you were one of the best editors he'd worked with, and he was like, he'd probably be he literally said he'd probably be a better guy than me. And I'm like, okay, Shane, if you recommend him, then I trust you. Anyway, Bill, I mentioned this to you before.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Very
No, go right ahead.
interesting group of editors. Jeffrey is in the Cristiano orbit. Cristiano is being the father of the modern independent Christian film, and Ebel is in the Kendricks orbit, and I was formerly in the Pureflix orbit. So I think that's like
We've got it covered.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Very nice.
That really does cover most of the faith-based content that's in my opinion.
That's interesting. True.
We
Yeah.
just need someone from who's doing those Irwin Brothers ones.
Right.
Well, you also have the Lalondes from Cloud 10, and you have the Downs brothers as well. Everybody there.
Yeah.
It seems like the Christian film industry has a lot of brothers, which is
Yeah.
probably why I haven't made a huge difference because I only have two sisters. So I guess you need to.
Christian brothers.
Yeah, I guess you need to have a brother to be big in the Christian film world. But anyway, Bill, I was mentioning this before we started here. One thing that I often like to have first-time guests do is just give us what I call the 5 minutes or under bio. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into editing in Christian movies?
Sure. I started editing TV commercials in Chicago. Worked at a place called the Filmworkers Club, and that was back in the days of online versus offline editing, and I was an online editor. But once online editing became more effects-based, I really missed the creative part of it, and wanted to get into offline editing. And so I actually left Filmworkers Club to join my dad's company, Ebel Productions. He was a director in Chicago, focusing on kids commercials. That was kind of his specialty, and did a lot of editing for him. Left that to join, well, it's kind of a weaving process, but I worked on Fireproof, was my first Christian film with Alex and Steve and Kendrick. And after that was hired by Phil Vischer to work on his new kid show. So
yes.
that was my full-time job for about four years or so.
For the people
And-
here who don't know, Phil Vischer is the creator of VeggieTales.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So he had a new series called What's in the Bible with Buck Denver, and I did all the editing and compositing for that. And then kind of in between shows, Courageous came up and graciously leave of absence to go do that film and then come back. And then War Room happened, and we had just adopted our son, Benjamin, from South Africa.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, that was how many years ago now? 7 years ago. So I couldn't work on War Room, couldn't leave at that time. And then anyway, graciously was able to kind of sneak in on Overcomer, assisting Steve Hallfish, the kind of lead editor on that film, and then worked my way into editing some scenes and then going back afterwards to help them finish cut one of the film. After cut one, Alex and Steve Hallfish kind of took it from there. But did that, and then this last year just edited my first documentary called The Girl Who Wore Freedom, which is a story of D-Day from the French perspective. So talking about their great respect and love they have for our American veterans. And quite frankly, they kind of put us to shame because they treat them so well over there and just love our American GIs. So anyway, that was a really rewarding project to work on.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Bill. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks.
And,
Thanks for being here.
And like a lot of people, I really liked the movie Overcomer. I'm sure that you hear that. I'm sure that you hear that a lot when you tell people you worked on it.
Well, that's nice to hear. It's never get tired of hearing that.
Yes. To be honest with you, there's only one thing. There's only one question I would ever ask Alex Kendrick about Overcomer. There's only one thing. See if you guys can follow me on this. In Overcomer, Alex Kendrick plays a coach, right? Why didn't they make Overcomer a sequel to Facing the Giants? It could have been a sequel to Facing the Giants. That's all I'm saying. Just my thoughts.
Yeah,
just my thought.
They didn't want to cast the same wife?
Okay. Maybe not. Maybe not. It was just an observation. I thought his character, it's an awesome movie. I just thought his character was very similar to the character he played in Facing the Giants. So I thought, why didn't they make this a standalone follow-up? It would have been so easy to do. But just my thought.
Sequels are never as good. So.
Oh, we could get into a long discussion on that. Look what
I know. I was going to say.
That? There we are.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people who likes the entire trilogy, not just the first one. I hear people all the time say Back to the Future 1 was the best and the others weren't that great. I actually like them as a whole. I think of them as like 1 6-hour movie. That's anyway.
Right. The trilogy.
Getting off on a tangent there.
Amen.
But anyway, one thing I wanted to do here, this is something I haven't done on my roundtables in a while, and under the advice of some people, I'm probably not going to do it much again. But the last time that I had Jeff and Sean here was back before I had updated my Zoom. Now that I am doing these more, I don't have a limit as how long we have to stay on here. I kind of had to cut them off right when we got to the 40-minute mark. And I used to do this thing called question. It's kind of based on scenes from a hat from Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it's questions. And because Jeff, Shane, Sean, and I were having such a great time, we didn't get through all the questions I had last time about editing. There's 3 more in here, so I just want to. This might be the very last time I use my hat on the round table, but I just thought it would be interesting.
All for Shane.
What'd you say?
What if the questions are all for Shane?
They're not. They're not. These are all general questions. I've said this several times to people, and people keep saying I don't have to keep explaining it. I call this a virtual roundtable because I ask one question and then everybody answers it. So it's like we're sitting around. Okay. So let's see what we have here. All right. First one. Okay. Do you have a favorite film you have edited?
Me? I'll answer first.
Okay.
I like my favorite film I've edited is probably the first one. The first one that I wrote that I edited, 21 Eyes. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was the easiest edit, at least picture-wise. So that'd be my favorite of the features. I also edited my film The Encounter. I didn't. I No, did I? Yes, I did. Edit some stuff later, but that was nice too. That was fun. But my favorite one, 21 Eyes, directed by Lee Bonner, and it was a great film.
Awesome. Awesome. Jeff, Bill?
I would say the best film I ever edited on, I was assistant editor on Like Dandelion Dust, directed by
Ah.
John Gunn, starring Mira Sorvino, Barry Pepper. It was based on a Christian novel, but it's not really a Christian film.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that my favorite film is probably The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry, because so many people have made decisions for Christ after seeing that film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our real paycheck, because you don't get paid a lot for Christian movies. But when you go to a screening and 22 people get up and make decisions, and then 2 days later, another screening, 25 people get up, you think, wow, the Lord's using that. And so I'd say that's my favorite experience.
Yeah. It's funny. I will do these roundtables and somebody will say something that sparks a memory and I'll get off into, storytelling mode. Jeff, I should share this with you just real quickly. I saw Like Dandelion Dust only once, but it was with my best friend, Ben. And Ben has 4 kids, the first 2 of who are adopted. And halfway through the movie, because the movie deals with adoption, I won't spoil the movie for anybody watching this. We'll just say the movie deals with adoption. Halfway through the movie, I look over and my friend is crying.
Yeah.
So that's a testament as to what a powerful movie it was you worked on there. So.
Yeah, I was brought in to help get it done in time for, I think, Sundance Film Festival. They were trying to get it in Sundance.
Did they get it?
And it did not. But when John went through the movie, he showed me certain scenes, and then he's like, "Now you're going to edit this part." And I was crying just from watching the rough cut. It'll rip your heart out, that movie. That's why I say it's really powerful.
Yeah.
I edited a John Gunn film too, but
what did you do?
He did it under an assumed name, so I can't tell you what it's called.
I know which one it is. I won't spoil it, but I know which one it is. Because he did it under an assumed name, as you said, but he was also on the behind the scenes of the movie. And because I did my Mercy Streets play, I'm one of the few people on earth who can identify John Gunn by sight easily, because I literally watched every piece of footage of Mercy Streets when I was preparing the play. One other really quick thing, Jeff, you mentioned The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry was one of the films the Cristiano brothers let me get from them to sell at our church VBS. I talked my church into 1 year about doing awareness of Christian film and selling Christian movies after VBS, and we literally showed the trailer for Secrets of Jonathan Sperry every day, along with some of the other ones that we were selling. And nobody could remember the title of the movie. You want to know what they called it? They called it The Bully Film. Because the trailer talks about the neighborhood bully. So people like. What'd you say?
I wrote, produced, and edited that trailer as well. Yeah, so that was fun.
Anyway, Bill.
I also, incidentally, to hand off to Bill, I applied to be the editor of War Room.
Oh.
Did not get the job. Now I know why it was the position was available, because Bill was not available at the time. So, yeah.
Bill, what was your favorite film?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to sidestep the question a little bit, but my favorite film to work on, I think, was Fireproof, and mainly because at the time the technology was such that the camera we were shooting with couldn't record on, this back when they were shooting tapes. I think it was the VariCam. And the tape recording wasn't as good as the SDI out of the camera. And so they had me connected to the camera the whole shoot. And so I was right on set, right in the action, recording as we were shooting. And then when they would move camera and reset, I would, organize and edit scenes. And so it was really fun because, a few times when they would get done shooting a scene, I basically had the scene cut. And so the director, Alex, could come over and look at the scene. And so that was a really just fun experience. On Courageous, it moved to red cameras, and hard drives, and I was in the back of a hot truck the whole time and not seeing footage till the next day. So I didn't know what was going on in the shoot. I never saw anybody except for at the craft service table. And so Fireproof was just a lot of fun because I was right in the mix with everybody. So, which is rare for an editor.
I don't like to be in the field. I like to be hidden away somewhere. Well, look at me.
Hey, Bill, for the record, I like all the Kendrick Brothers films, but I think Courageous still remains my favorite to this day, but probably for a biased reason. I've always liked cop movies. What can I say? And it's I literally that year said to somebody, you know, with the way Christian films are going, I really wish somebody would make a decent Christian film about cops, because policemen are Christians too. And then that year, The Grace Card and Courageous both come out.
Yeah.
So anyway, one other really quick thing about Fireproof, just real quickly.
Yeah.
We did 2 movie nights at my church, and Facing the Giants and Flywheel were 2 of the movies that we watched.
Yeah.
And for the first time, Fireproof was the very first Kendrick Brothers film that was actually at a theater near us.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people from the church went to see it, knowing that it was by the same people who had done Flywheel and Facing the Giants.
Right.
And I'm sitting next to a couple. I don't remember who it was. It gets all the way to the end, to the point where Kirk Cameron and his wife are reunited in the fire truck. And a couple next to me, who thinks that's the end of the movie, leans over and goes, well, this is the first time Alex Kendrick wasn't in the movie himself. And then the next scene is him as the minister.
He snuck in there.
So and they started laughing. So I guess the joke was, just when you think Alex Kendrick has made a movie he's not in, he's in the last 2 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what the next question here is. You guys are saying a lot of stuff that's triggering things tonight. I have a trigger happy memory, I tell people.
Safe space. Safe space.
Yes. All right, let's see here. Okay. What is the most rewarding part of editing a film for you?
I love watching people watch. You know, a lot of times it's just you're getting to let them watch scenes. You know, you're showing people. I mean, it's great when you're at the premiere and you're getting to see the whole movie together and watching the audience react and respond. But I love, it's the moment when you know it works. I mean, you think it works anyway, because you're the first audience member watching the film, and obviously the director and producers are joining you in that. But I remember one screening we did of Fireproof at the church, Sherwood Baptist Church in Albany, Georgia. They showed the film, and the scene with the train where the car gets stuck on the train and they have to pull the girl off the tracks.
Right.
To hear just the audible gasps and panic from people watching the film, you're like, all right, it works. We did our job. So that's my favorite part.
Yes.
By the time you finish editing a movie, you're kind of tired of it. You've seen it a million times. But then when you watch it with an audience, you're like, it's like watching it for the first time again. And there's this anticipation. Oh, here's that line they're supposed to laugh here. Are they going to laugh here? They laughed.
Right.
Oh, they're crying. We got them crying. Yes. Oh, that joke missed. Oh no, that joke missed. So that's what it's like, a little bit of a roller coaster every time you watch the movie with them. So yeah.
Right. Or like you'd have people, I remember the first time somebody laughed, like the audience laughed over what we had put in as a second joke, and you realize, oh, nobody hears that second little line, because
that's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
It's an excellent problem to have.
Yeah.
I guess I'm like my 2 colleagues. The 2 best experiences involved the 2 films I talked about earlier. Is 21 Eyes. It was the cast. It was actually at a festival. It wasn't a cast and crew screening, but it was a regional festival, and a lot of people came to it, and everybody got all the jokes. Everyone loved the film. It was fantastic. It was one of my best moments as a personal thing. My best moment in the movie business, even till now. But on a deeper level, it was up in Boston. And I don't know whether you were there, Great Scott, but Christian Film Festival, when we played The Encounter, 200 people came forward that night. I met you one year there. I don't know whether it was the year The Encounter was there or the year it was Sarah's Choice, but I re-edited Sarah's Choice. That it was edited terribly, It feels, I hate to denigrate the work of a fellow editor, but it was a mess. And they gave me a week to fix it. And because they already had the release schedule set. And so I know I met you up in Boston on one of those when I was
It's
up there.
possible. Let me ask you this. Were David Ayer White, his wife Andrea, Julian Bailey, and Rebecca St. James all there?
Yeah, that was the Sarah's Choice year. The next year, David was there too, but he didn't bring his wife.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember that's what. Yeah, that was actually a film festival that I think only lasted 2 years in Revere, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
And I remember it's funny because that was the year Sarah's Choice and In the Blink of an Eye came out at the same time.
yeah.
And I remembered thinking that I would probably like In the Blink of an Eye better because it was a Christian movie.
An action film,
Groundhog Day, basically. But to be honest with you, I ended up liking Sarah's Choice better than In the Blink of an Eye. Now I don't know if you wrote both of those, but
I was scheduled to be right on Blink of an Eye with Tim Radishak, but we were fired off the project.
oh,
So but I tell you, after our conference call with the directors and the producers, my partner called me after that conference call and said, "Can we quit this job?" And I said, "No." I said, "We've got to have a partial reliability." And the next day they called and fired us off it. So couldn't have been happier. But I ended up editing the film, so go figure.
there you go.
And it's in profit. Oh, I'm
is.
talking about Blink of an Eye too. So
Oh, okay.
that was one I thought would never go into profit, but go figure.
Yes.
Eric Roberts.
Yes, Eric. Yeah,
Eric Roberts
didn't they like shoot his entire scene in all of his scenes in only one day?
in one night? Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
One day, one night.
Yes.
He has like 4 scenes sitting in an office on a telephone, and then he comes to the crime scene at the beginning. So,
Right.
It's the same with Six: The Mark Unleashed. He's in there like one scene, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
gets killed in the first 5 minutes.
Well,
Hey,
as I
spoiler.
mentioned last time, Six was the film that The Mark Unleashed was the film that got me.
Yeah, I know. That's great.
Yeah. I wanted to see it because it looked like a Mercy Streets reunion to me. It had Kevin Downs, it had David White, it had Eric Roberts. I think there was someone else
Yeah.
involved in it as well. But the interesting thing is that so basically what you're saying is that Eric Roberts was to those films what Roddy Piper was to the film that I wrote. So Roddy Piper came in for one day. He shot he's only in 2 scenes in the entire film,
Yeah.
and yet he made the cover. See, there he is right there.
Of course.
Star power. It's just
Did
star
he
power.
remember his lines, or did he need cue cards?
To be honest with you,
Eric
I was not on the set the one day he filmed.
Okay.
I was not on the set.
That
I
was
was
the
not on
only
the set.
day to go to the set.
What'd you say?
When the big box name is there, it's the only day to go to the set.
Well, unfortunately, the way that the schedule was put together, I was on set the first 7. Film was shot in 11 days. I was on the set for the first 7, and then they shot Sherry Morris's role the last 4. I was back in Boston doing some shows by then, believe it or not. So they brought Roddy in on the last day. Sherry Morris is the only other actress on the film that ever even met him, actually. So okay, we're down to our last question here.
Okay.
At least for the ones that are in here. Doesn't mean we have to click off the minute. Okay, and this is a good one this is a good last draw question to ask a group of editors. This is actually one that I was hoping we would have gotten to last time. What was your record for longest time you've spent editing a project? How long did you work? How long did you work straight, and what was it on? If you don't know, that's fine.
Mine was easy because the Kendrick films are on a pretty tight schedule, with Sony being involved. So those go pretty fast. But the documentary that I just finished, The Girl Who Wore Freedom, we probably spent off and on because, this documentary was one of those where it was self-financed mostly from the director and then whatever donation she could get. So we would just kind of work as we got money in the door. And so we probably worked on that for, well, considering we just kind of finished, probably 2 years, year and a half.
Oh, got to. On a documentary too that I produced with my wife, directed a friend of mine, David Butler. Sacred Ground, The Battle for Mount Auburn Cemetery. And that was 6 years.
Wow.
We were shooting and editing. So
Wow.
it ended up winning Best Documentary at Churches Making Movies Film Festival, and can currently be seen on the Black News Channel. They have the contract for it this year. So,
Wow. 2 years seems fast now.
I tell you, Sarah's Choice, they literally gave me 1 week to re-edit the film.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
that
sorry.
blink of an eye was a pretty quick edit too. So
You guys take forever, man. All mine. I am mostly how I make my living is doing 30-second promos. So everything's fast. Are you done yet? And you got so all my films have been 4 to 6 months. But when I'm working with Rich Cristiano, what you do is you probably lock up the film in about 4 months, but you lock it in quotes, and because that means it's not really locked, because he's going to show his brother, who's his twin, and his certain key advisors, and then he's going to come back and he's go, oh, let's open it up again, Jeff. I'm a what does the word locked mean to you, Rich? It was I think I'm done.
Lock.
And Rich will laugh at me. Jesus, I'm not integrated. But then we unlock it and do some more editing, and then now it's locked again. And so maybe it's 8 months, but only 6 months of that is actual thing, or 5 months. So, but then there's a time where you like, I hope it's done. I hope it's done. I hope it's done. And it's not. So.
I have a question about your locking process. After you lock it, do you go outside for a sound mix? And because that would be a real pain to go through a full sound mix and unlock it.
No. We never did that. No.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You might give it to the sound mixer, to the sound designer, to start, gathering things, but no, we never did that. So Rich is smart about that. Yeah.
When we did the Unidentified reunion, one of the favorite things that Jeff said was, he goes, with Rich, the first cut is never the final cut. You just expanded a little bit on what you meant by that.
Yeah, like I edited Unidentified, the first cut, in 22 days, and that was the fastest. I know the fastest I ever cut something. The first cut was 22 days. Yeah.
The first feature I cut was we had 1 week to edit it, and it was shot on film.
Wow.
So there was only a 3-to-1. It was shot on Super 16. There was only a 3-to-1 shooting ratio.
Wow.
I mean, there was literally, when I did the Arch Retreat for Pure, there's a scene where all the people meet the counselor, who's played by Jeff Fahey, and his wife Victoria Jackson, and because they were shooting with multiple cameras and they did close-ups of everyone, there was literally more footage in that one scene than there was for my entire first film.
Wow.
So it sounds like it's a lot, but really, when you only have a 3-to-1 shooting ratio, it's a 90-minute film, there was only 4.5 hours worth of footage. So it's that easy when you're shooting on film, because the directors make their mind up before they actually shoot. Nowadays, people just keep doing angle, having multiple cameras going. And then you also don't get that same sense of directorial vision. You really have to talk to the director more. Back in the old days of film, you knew the directorial vision because that's all there was.
Right. That's what they shot.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's the end of the questions here, and that might be the very last time that I do the hat here on the round table. Was there anything else that anybody, while we're here, I mean, we don't have to click off like right this second. Anybody else have anything else they wanted to say or add to this conversation?
To all you young editors, 2 pieces of advice: cut on the action and follow the eyes. That's the law.
Right.
And to quote the great editor Dee Allen, the queen of the editors, if you can't solve it, dissolve it.
Good word, yeah.
I actually know what that means, because I did take television production in college. So Sean, just real quickly here, because we did a little shameless plug for your new novel at the beginning. If people would like to get Chapel Street, where can they get that?
They can get the Kindle and the paperback on Amazon. They can get the Nook, the paperback, and the hardcover at Barnes & Noble. And I think you can pretty much get the paperback everywhere with all quality booksellers. And I guess I don't know if anyone else sells Kindle but Amazon. And I don't know if anyone else sells Nook but Barnes and Noble. So,
Mhm.
but even though I got some from the get them from the publisher, I still bought some from all the sites that I see it at
All right.
just to boost the numbers. It'll be a bestseller if I have to buy 100,000 of them. But I won't have to because people really like it.
Bill, forgive me, but I forget the name of it. You said that you worked on one of the other series that Phil Vischer produced. What was that called?
It was called Buck Denver Asks What's in the Bible, and it takes families through the Bible. I think it was 13 DVDs. Now it's actually on a site called GoMinnow.com, and it's a streaming service.
Okay.
It's kind of like for like a kids Netflix for Christian kids, but the whole series is up there, and it was really great. I mean, Phil does tons of research. He's obviously hilarious. He did all the voices of the characters, and I learned a ton. I mean, it was like taking Bible class, working on 13 episodes. So it was great.
Well, you actually answered what would have been my next question, which was where can people find it? So
yeah, GoMinnow.com.
Yes.
Is it just stuff or is it other people's stuff too?
Anything. It's pretty much anything that's been made for Christian kids is on that site. So they got, Bible Man and Friends and Heroes and Veggie Tales. And I mean, literally everything you can think of is probably up there.
I did my magic act as part of the pre-show for Willie Ames' last show as Bible Man, actually. It was in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I cannot believe this. I was looking just recently. I had this photo album. I had a picture of me with him in the cast. And I also had a picture of me with Rebecca St. James and a picture of Mark Lowry, both of which I had taken back to another concert and had them signed later on. And I cannot find them. I have moved 3 times in the past 10 years. I moved back from 2012 to 2014. I lived with my grandpa and I rented my condo out. So I went from my condo to my grandpa's house back to my condo again. Somewhere within those 2 moves, the photos got lost and I cannot find them.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. If I had found the one of Rebecca St. James, I would have used it when we did the Unidentified reunion, Jeff. But anyway.
That's right. Because Unidentified was really, really the only thing when they told us we were going to get Rebecca St. James for Sarah's Choice. Mm-hmm. The only thing I could really watch for dramatic was Unidentified, and she only had a very small role in it. But I rushed out and saw it. So,
well, that's the only reason. If you watch the Roundtable reunion, I say right off the bat that was the only reason why I saw it in the first place. But the truth is once I did, I was very glad I saw it because it's a great film. So, anyway, Jeff, anything you want to add? I gave both of these guys a moment to plug something. Anything that you would like to add?
Well, the latest film that I've edited is called Play the Flute. It's from Rich Cristiano, and it's a really good little film. Mm-hmm. We had a bunch of kids in it, but we have Loretta Swit, Fred Grandy, and Clint Howard are the actors that you recognize in it. If you go to christianmovies.com, you can contact them. Right now, it's just on demand there, but he's going to put it out on DVD later. But it's a very good Christian film.
What's it called again?
It's called Play the Flute. Brett Carvel is the star of it, and he's fantastic. It's really good.
Funny thing, a few days after we did the Unidentified reunion, I'm reading my daily devotions, and the verse that I have a photo of it here because I sent it to Rich. The verse that the movie is based on was actually in my daily devotions, and I sent it to Rich. It was, "We played the flute for you, and you did your dance. We sang and died, and you cried." That's the verse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, fool as I am, I forgot to photograph where it's found.
So, it's in the Bible.
Yeah, I know that. I just forgot to. I just photographed it, circled it, and I sent it to Rich. And I said, "Is this what your movie Play the Flute is based on?" He's like, "Yes, it is." So.
Yeah. It's not about playing the actual flute. It's a metaphor for telling people about the Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I kind of picked up on that, but anyway.
I haven't seen it, but I hope it's successful. Yes. I have a great respect for the Cristianos, and what they've done, and I really do. I always say that they're the godfathers of the modern, independent, faith-based film industry.
Mhm.
Though somebody I know tried to get them on a podcast to talk about the independent Christian film market, and they said it doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know which brother it was that told them that. So
That sounds like Rich, but it's tough. It's tough to get these films into theaters, especially because of COVID. But so they're mostly going on demand, and it's kind of the Christian film industry is in a kind of a transition time right now. We'll see what happens. So got to support them.
I'll tell you one people who seem to be doing well: the Kendrick brothers
Yes.
and their editorial staff.
Yes.
And the
Well-
Irwin brothers too. Yeah.
Oh, the Irwin
Thing
brothers.
that I am noticing though, Sean Justice and I did notice that there are more series being made, like Vindication and The Chosen, and there are other platforms, like the platform that Bill mentioned, for example. There's more platforms like that. A lot of things are going directly to streaming, and it even made seeing the show Vindication, which I actually did a roundtable with that cast as well. Seeing that actually was what finally convinced Sean. Had been trying to convince me for years to make the trilogy that we had mapped out for the first movie that we wanted to make. He was like, Scott, this might actually do better as a serialized series. And I fought him tooth and nail for like over a year. And then finally I saw Vindication, and something in my head was like, yeah, Twin Master can be that. And then when I actually took the time to write it, I realized Sean was right the whole time. I ended up thinking of subplots that hadn't been there before and stuff. So we were on the verge. I've mentioned this several times. We were going to launch a Kickstarter for it at Easter, and then COVID hit.
Oh,
So-
man.
So we're hoping that we can do that next year, but that's another story for another time. One thing that I do want to mention to anybody watching here is I briefly mentioned when we were talking about the Kendricks, Bill, the same year that Courageous came out, a film came out called The Grace Card. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but I will be reuniting the cast of The Grace Card here on my roundtable next Thursday. And Michael Joyner will be here, Michael Higginbottom will be here, just to name a few. We think the director is going to make it as well, David Evans, who went on to direct Indivisible. So hopefully we'll have that up next week. And then I have a Thou Shalt Laugh reunion coming up as well. I'm reuniting some of the comedians who were on Thou Shalt Laugh. And being the smart guy I am, I booked those back to back by accident. So it's going to be a very interesting 2 days.
Well, you should get the comedians from Run On, as well.
Yes, indeed.
That would never
Drink a
happen.
lot of coffee. Drink a lot of coffee, Scott.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time.
Do you think those shows are going to do better than this one?
What do you mean?
Comedians versus editors. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you're in trouble.
I don't know
I
who.
think so.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time, and I thank everybody who's watching. Thank you for watching the Great Scots Roundtable, the editor edition number 2, a roundtable on purpose. Thank you very much.